Hello friends, let's make our application a bit more secure. Now the password is getting saved into the MongoDB directly whatever user give, and the same has been saved into the database. Now let's encrypt the password and save the encrypted password into the database so anyone will not be able to decrypt that one. To achieve this one, we are going to use bcryptJS. Okay, now let's get back to the code and open our controller folder for user, basically the user controller. Here we have the route, and here we have these functions to save the data into the database. And here basically before saving we are going to hash the password. So to do this one, we are going to import the bcryptJS in this file, and then we'll use that one. Let's import. Now with this bcryptJS, let's create a salt. This will basically make our hash more complex and unpredictable. Provide the default value of 10 here, and use the callback function as error and the salt. Second parameter, we will get the salt, and within this use the bcryptJS.hash to create the hash using the password. So we will pass the password that provided by the user, and again we will pass the salt here as a second parameter. Now in the callback function we will get either error or the hashed password, and then we will simply assign the hash using in the password field. Basically now in the object what we have, instead of password we have the hash, and now we are good to save this one in the database. So let's cut this one from here and paste inside this function. Now this will save the hash password in the DB. Let's try this one. Let's delete some existing all the records from the database. Now we're going to hit the save button here, and then we will see what got saved into the database. As you can see in the response, we are already getting the hashed password. If we try to refresh this one, and you will see we are getting saved here the hash, not the exact password what user have typed. So it is now cannot decrypt this password, so it's more secure now. Now let's open our application in the browser. Remember, we have our login page and registration page in our application already created using EJS. Now once user will submit that form here, we are going to save the database, save the details into the database basically. So let's do this one. Let's check our view file what we have in the post method. So we need to change this one to user, and this will have method as post, and this is basically going to call our post user route, and here we'll need to modify that one. Let us enter some data here, say cs at email or whatever.com, and password as test, and confirm password. Then if we hit the submit, so let's open the network tab also in case we need to see the API call. So when you will click on save, you can see we rendered our user page, that is basically returning the data from the database object. So if you see here, it is getting logged, and here we have a problem. We need to change the name of the field from this one to password. Now try one more time. So let us give some data again, and before that one let's delete the record whatever we have in our database. So it is now empty. Let's come to the form and give some data and try to hit the submit button. Let's see what happens. Okay, we got the data and we have the data saved successfully in the database. Let's see here. As you can see, this is the data we have submitted in the UI in the browser, and it got saved into the database. So we are good in this one. Let us create another user. So give some name, email, and give the same password here, test123 test123, and hit the submit button. And this seems all right. Let's go to the database and refresh this one. It is working perfectly here. So we are done from data saving perspective from the UI. Basically the login mechanism, the registration mechanism is working as expected. Now let us go to the login section, and here we'll try to login the user we just created. We need a login post method here, post route, and this is the login get. this basically solves the login page. And now we will have a check login mechanism that will be called when user post the login form. So basically when user click on the submit on the login form, let's go to the view page and create a dashboard EJS file. So our goal is to, after login, we will redirect the user to this dashboard page. So this will currently have no data as such, so that's okay. And let's come back and create one routing endpoint. So it's a post one, and it will have for dashboard, and we'll just render the dashboard. So basically response.render the dashboard EJS file. Next is to create the post method for the login. So create the post endpoint, the login, and we're going to call the check login function of our user controller. So here it is, and let's make it available for the outer pages. Here what we are going to do, basically we are going to call the uh, MongoDB query, and there we'll get the user and we'll match or compare the password using the bcryptJS. First get the user input. So request.body will have the email and password field. Next section is to create the login section. So let's open the login page, and if you give username and password and hit the save button, it should make the user login and land in the dashboard page we just created. So here basically what we need to do, we need to check the password that we already saved in the database using the bcryptJS. We basically compared the password given by the user and the password we already saved in the database. So first get the data from the database by the email ID provided by the user. Now passing the query like this, the email, it should fetch one record from the database and it will return the data from inside this block. And then what we should do, basically we should use the compare method, then we'll compare the password. But before that we should also encrypt the password provided by the user from the form. Let's do that. If it's a match, then the isMatch property will be true, else it will be false. Now if it's a success, if it's true, then what we'll do, we'll just return the user to the dashboard page. So response.redirect dashboard. And in other case, if it's failure, for now we're going to redirect the user back to the login page. Now let's try to log into the application using the user credentials. Use this username and password was test, and its login success, we landed to the dashboard application. If we try to keep some other password, it will redirect back to the login page. So we can say our code is working as expected. Let's register a new user and try to log in with that user. So we'll give some name, it should be name, and take the email and give some password there and create the user. Just copy this one so that we can log in with this email. Now try to log in with the same email and password we just created. And this is working. For this video, that's it. We'll come later and modify our application with showing the invalid error messages, login failure messages, and we'll also show the login and logout buttons. But for now, that's it for today.